We have got to have a conversation about race in the classroom. My name is LaTrice Lyle, and over the past 10 years, I've uncovered what happens when we don't have that conversation. When we're not talking about race in schools, there is a direct and measurable impact on the academic success, misplacement into special education, and higher rates of anxiety and depression reported by Black students. That is why I created EDquity Consulting. At EDquity, I work with educators to first uncover their implicit racial biases and then develop the tools and strategies they need to create classrooms of belonging for all Black kids. So you're probably thinking, okay, what is implicit bias? Implicit bias, at its root, are the unconscious beliefs that we hold. And the truth is, we all have implicit bias. So it's not a question if we have it, but what are we going to do now that it's been uncovered? In Atlanta, there are nearly 40,000 Black students in Atlanta public schools. This is why this work has to be done, and it needs to be done now. So what's the process? I usually start my work with a phone call from a school district or a school who has experienced a traumatic racial event. Like in 2021, when a school district called because this activity was assigned to one of the classes. In this activity, Black students, or really all students, were asked to take the perspective of an enslaved person and describe the jobs that they had to do. And that's unacceptable. So, like the Olivia Pope of education, I had it handled. So after uncovering the problem, which wasn't the assignment, that's a byproduct, right? After uncovering the problem that this school district was having, which was the mindsets of their educators and what they believed to be true about the Black kids in that district, we then collaborated to create a professional development plan that really addressed the implicit racial bias, the root cause of the issue. And then we worked together to monitor that plan and to also figure out what was working and what did not and adjust accordingly. And in the end, this school district not only implemented implicit racial bias training for all of the educators, not just the instructional staff, but they also worked with me to implement a professional development session around curriculum violence to uncover just why that activity was traumatic for kids. To date, EDquity has worked with 25 organizations, over 5,000 teachers, and has impacted 200,000 kids. And as a Harvard-trained educator, I know that it's not enough to tackle this issue in the social-emotional space. We have to apply science and the science of implicit bias to address the racism that is going on in schools. So how can you help? I created the Atlanta Teacher Fellowship to support 10 Atlanta educators to first do the deep work of uncovering the things that they believe about Black kids in Atlanta, and then develop the strategies and tools to create spaces for those kids to thrive. You can support that work at $120,000. And you could also sponsor an educator at $12,000. Or what I could really use is connections with schools and districts, decision makers, gatekeepers in these schools and districts, so that we can actually get this work moving at a district level. Truth is, y'all, I'm exhausted. I have to wake up every day to a world, and these things have happened since 2020 in the pandemic. I have to wake up to a world where Black kids, kids that look like me, that look like some of you, are dehumanized on a daily basis in their schools. So in a world, in a state where it is increasingly difficult to talk about race in schools, it is important that we do just that. Thank you.